and transitions.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I welcome Mr. Kshitij Thakur, and he will talk about AI and new technologies in post-harvest supply chains. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'll start with my introduction. I'm Kshitij Thakur from Agrograde. We work on the challenges that the fresh produce industry faces in post-harvest supply chains. We're seeing huge problems, critical problems that we've been facing for decades and centuries that we can solve now because of the technologies that we are developing in India for India. I'll just start with what we do. The fresh produce industry collectively spends over 12,000 crores annually on grading and sorting. But let's understand why grading and sorting is necessary. So grading and sorting are critical activities of improving the marketability of the produce. Now, marketability of produce is needed so that it fetches a fair price in the market. Every market has a different need and we need to understand it. For example, closed markets may appreciate ripened fruits and vegetables, but distant markets would need semi-ripe so that between the transit period, it does not get spoiled.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. You're sharing some slides, sir?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, because it's not visible for me.
The slide is not visible?
No. A blank screen is coming, sir. Maybe you can stop sharing and share it again.
Else, I'll just export it to PDF.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Kshitij Thakur from Agrograde. We solve some of the critical challenges in the post-harvest supply chain in perishables. For so many years, we've been trying to sell our produce at a fair price, but there are no tools in. Can I start again? Hello.
Sir, you continue, sir.
Acha, you'll edit it out,
Yeah, we continue.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kshitij Thakur from Agrograde. At Agrograde, we solve some of the critical problems in the post-harvest supply chains and perishables. And I'll explain you what we do. So our fresh produce supply chain is extremely broken. There are multiple factors leading to it, but the biggest challenge that we face because of this fragmented and broken supply chain is we lose around 30% of the produce before it even reaches the consumer. And that is a very big problem. It arises problems of food insecurity, lack of fair value realization for the producers, and multiple challenges in terms of the quality that reaches the consumer as well. So we need to stop it, and that is where we work in. We've identified multiple friction points in the supply chain, which are now constraining farm to fork supply chains. So some of these are identifying the marketability of the produce and grading sorting it so that the produce that is graded and sorted fetches a fair price and the consumer gets a good quality produce. So for that, we have been enabling grading and sorting at multiple nodes in the supply chain in fresh produce. Now, I'll explain you why grading and sorting is necessary. And grading and sorting is a very critical component to ensure marketability of the produce. For example, if we have, say, tomatoes, ripened tomatoes would fetch a good price in the nearby markets, but they are not feasible to be transported to distant markets, but because it may get damaged and rotten before it even reaches the customer or the destination markets. In such conditions, we do not get a fair price for the harvest or the produce that we wanted, and there's a lot of loss during this transit. So effectively, whatever resources that we put in growing this produce is wasted. We're not utilizing them properly. So that is why based on the markets and the requirements, we have to grade and sort the produce and then market it accordingly, which ensures there's transparency in the supply chain. And there is also a price discovery mechanism that can be implemented. So we work across farm gates, collection centers, and warehouses. We use technologies like AI and robotics to identify the quality and marketability of the produce and the grade of the produce, and then we segregate it. Our technologies have been recognized by a lot of players in this ecosystem, uh, and we've been growing. Now we have our machines deployed across 12 different states. We work across onion, potato, tomatoes, oranges, sweet lime, apples, and across multiple supply chains. And our aim is to de-enterprise technologies and make it accessible to even producers, so that the farm to fork supply chain can be realized. We can have marketable produce right at the farm gate, for which the farmers can get a fair produce, and the consumers get a good price for the good quality for the market. So today's session is on AI and new technologies in the post-harvest supply chains, and specifically fruits and vegetables in India. Now, as I said, right, there are multiple challenges that exist in the supply chain. Now, one is post-harvest losses. As I said, right, 30 to 40% of the produce that we grow is lost in the supply chain. And that is such a critical problem. Every farmer puts in their sweat. There's a lot of water resources that are put into growing the produce. And it is just lost because of the inefficiencies in the supply chain. We are not able to store it properly. We are not able to market it properly. The packing technologies are quite outdated. There's a lot of challenges that come with it. And this is very significant in the perishable supply chain. This results in one is economic impact is there, because effectively you are not getting, even if we are increasing the yield of the farms, we are not getting the value that we actually would want to. So, for example, if we have increased the yield of our farms by 30%, but this 30% is just uh, countering that growth in yield. And next is insecurity. As our population increases, we need to feed the population, and that is somewhere that we are facing a lot of challenges. Going ahead, we are not sure if we would have security in terms of the food supply chains, and this is going to get worse and worse over time. Coming to the problems that are quite significant right now, are market linkage. Market linkage is one of the biggest challenge that FPOs and farmers are facing. Uh, there's no lack of uh, transparent information or communication between the markets and the farmers, because of which there is uncoordinated supply and demand, which results in spikes. So there's sometimes huge supply and sometimes there's very low supply. It's not getting predicted enough and communicated to the farmers well, which in turn results in and second is decentralized infrastructure. Now we do have mandis, but can we have FPOs and collection centers, more FPOs and collection centers, which de-enterprises and farmers can use this something like this near their villages, so they don't travel a lot and going through you like to as larger customers. Lack of is the biggest this in the supply chain. Whenever we apply storage,
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir. You have some network issue.
it might. So should I do one thing?
Now it is clear, sir. You continue if there is something.
Okay,
some...
is this better?
Yeah, now it is better. Continue.
So there's a huge lack of infrastructure as well in the supply chain. By infra, I mean anything that is needed to store, process, and sell the produce. Now, in this, first is storage, because whenever there's a huge spike in supply, what we see is that because there is no storage facility available or accessible, farmers have to sell the produce, else it will just rot away or just decay over time. So they sell it at a loss. They sell it at a price that is lower than the production cost. So that is one of the major challenges. But second is in this that we do not have technology or tools to also assess the quality of the produce, which that results in the lack of price discovery mechanisms. So there is no infrastructure. We have something for it in grains, but in perishables, that is something that is lacking. And lack of equipped collection centers. So apart from mandis as well, can the farmers, instead of traveling 50 kilometers, 70 kilometers, go to a nearby collection center, grade and sort the produce, sell off the produce that has a limited shelf life, and store the produce in cold storage or controlled atmosphere at that place itself, and then liquidate it later on. We do not have those facilities. We do not have infrastructure that can enable quality control or automate quality control. So, for example, an XYZ customer or an exporter needs a particular specification on grade of produce. I do not have tools to ensure that I can deliver this. So that is why there are a lot of middlemen and aggregators that come into this part of the supply chain, where they take care of the entire processes, and hence the risk reward ratio for them is high. But we need infrastructure that can empower farmers and farmer producer organizations to do this near to source as possible, not at the mandi level, but source as possible. These are some of the infrastructural improvements that we will need in the perishable supply chain. Now, after that, what we look at is marketability. So once we have the produce, how do we market it? How do we sell it to the right customer at the right price? Right now, it is the quality standards are completely subjective in nature, right? For someone, I might feel that this produces premium grade, but someone else might consider that this is an average grade. So we all have constant disputes between buyers and sellers, leading to a lot of challenges again. Now, how can that be solved? So one is quality assurance, quality assaying. You will have to assay quality properly. We do not have technologies for that. Second is the grading and sorting is a very time-consuming process and very operationally intensive. So we would need something that automates that based on the requirements that we see in the market. If we do not grade and sort the produce properly, as per the marketability of the produce, as per the market needs, then we that affects the price of the produce. So if we have grade A and grade B mixed together, someone else has to segregate it again, and that is why they have to charge. It affects the price that this produce is purchased at. So hence, we need to understand what the market needs, grade and sort it properly, and then sell it to the right market. The example I gave for tomato is the same is applicable across all perishables. If we do not understand that the customer particularly expects a large size produce, and then we have something that is mixed with it. So, for example, we have 10% which is smaller size, say potatoes going into large size potatoes, it directly affects the price by 10 to 20%. So that is something that we have to ensure that for uh, large customers, large scale enterprises, for to buy directly from farmers, we need infrastructure that enhances the marketability of the produce, ensures quality wherever this produce is getting aggregated. This can be at collection centers, this can be at mandis. The access to technology or access to infrastructure is not there. Now we'll come to the technologies that we are seeing, innovative technologies that we're seeing right now in post-harvest. One is automated grading, sorting, and packing technologies. Now we have technologies which could grade, sort, clean, as a clean wash the produce dry it properly as needed, grade it, sort it based on their quality patterns. So even something that is rotten, damaged, or defective is segregated as a second grade, which can be sold to a very different market and can fetch a price, and the rest of the produce can fetch a very premium price. Uh, Earlier, this was completely manually done. So typically, any aggregator would spend somewhere around 50 paise to even 1.5 rupees per kilo on this processes. Now these are getting automated. Technologies like AI are now enhancing the efficiency of these processes. So within hours, you can process an entire great sort and pack an entire container uh, with just limited manpower needed for it. Now, this boosts the operational efficiency, but also protects the shelf life of the produce. So instead of needing an entire day or couple of days to understand the quality and grade and sort, and still face disputes with the buyer, this technology enables trust between buyer and seller. So there is no subjectivity in terms of understanding of the quality of the produce, and reduces the dependency on availability of labor. Labor is a big challenge, and availability of labor is a big challenge in these supply chains. So for tomatoes, we have to complete the entire process within a couple of hours. If we do not have enough manpower, the produce will just stay there and it will start deteriorating in terms of quality. So we have to take quick time-based decisions. So now there are now technologies that are completely automating the collection center activities. Then there's IoT and real-time monitoring solutions. Now these are very helpful in storage infrastructure. So if you are storing, say, onions, you would need to understand if there is any rot that is getting detected. It is not manually possible to go and check each and every storage unit for onions. Same happens with potatoes, and would happen in fruits as well. We need to find out rot happening at the right time and take preventive action or a reactive action. For that, now we have technologies that are uh, enabled uh, cold storages and control atmosphere units where we can capture losses. We cannot capture and reduce it. We cannot prevent it directly from happening. Now, there are also technologies that are protecting the shelf life of the produce after it is packed or after it is harvested. So this would also increase the time that we have from harvest to selling the produce. So this empowers the farmers to not sell as and when it is harvested, but they can hold on to the produce for a while. And so this reduces any kind of spikes that we see in the supply, which eventually drives the prices. And predictive analysis. Now, we do have, because of social media and uh, tools like WhatsApp, we do have access to real-time prices. But what we are now lacking is real-time insights and trends. So, for example, uh, this is currently happening in the onion supply chain as well. There's a huge uh, chaos that is happening because the prices have crashed suddenly. Now, for farmers, even 1 rupee per kilo price is very, very important. Uh, so, if they have information that there is a there is going to be a very high spike in supply from southern India, they'll hold on to the produce because there's already a lot of supply coming into the market. But because of the lack of it, there are other channels which misuse or spread misinformation. And farmers are very vulnerable to this information. So we need trustworthy trend analytics and uh, insights on what is happening in real time. If there is any shortage of the produce that we are foreseeing, farmers will be ready that, okay, so there's a effective spike in demand, which could get me a good price at this time of the year. So I'll be ready to sell some part of my harvest this time. So this helps a lot in planning as well. So we need to look at it that way. So AI would play a very huge role in this. And one of the other technologies that we're seeing right now is quality assaying technologies, which now would effectively take uh, purchasing decisions at farm or rural collection centers. So for real-time quality assessing, technology-enabled quality assessing is needed so that a buyer has trust on what kind of quality they are purchasing. Right now, this does not exist, and that is why this is typically uh, now substituted by person-driven trust. When we say there are a lot of middlemen in the supply chain, what actually happens is if I'm a corporate who's buying, say, potatoes, and I need a particular quality, because there are no tools and technologies available that can tell me, okay, this is grade A. I trust someone who will give me grade A. So I'll contact Mr. XYZ and say, I'll need this. That Mr. XYZ will again give this order to someone else. So there is a leakage in the supply chain. Uh, so some that is why middle layer exists, because there is no tool or technology existing right now that can enable direct linkage between a farmer and a buyer. So mobile-based and sensor-based quality assaying is a new technology that is being adopted right now, which could remove this entire friction and enable direct linkage between a buyer and a seller through mobile app as well. Now, using this new technologies on AI and post-harvest, all the stakeholders in the supply chain can be benefited. One is reducing post-harvest losses in itself will be a game changer. Accurate market information just reduces the workload that we see on the infrastructure, the logistics, and in general, its influence on the prices. And this entire stack coming together with infrastructure and insights and intelligence, we can see that farmers can use those benefits or use these insights to take better decisions, which could lead to higher farm incomes. And for agri businesses, again, this is a win-win situation because now they have consistent supply chain that they know, "Acha, I wouldn't face shortages during this month because I have my supply chain figured out. Cost reductions because of reducing these friction points, which allows them to offer competitive pricing to their buyers uh, and enhance product quality. In perishables, because they are perishable in nature, this product quality comes is a very huge factor. If the quality is not provided properly, they face customer complaints, they face debit notes, they face bad reviews as well on all social media, which leads them to lose business. This happens in exports, this happens in quick commerce, everywhere. So for them, product quality is necessary. For because this requirement, you need infrastructure and technologies which ensures that we assure quality when we sell to them. Hence, again, the piece on infrastructure requirement. And for consumers, again, whatever everyone is building is for the consumers. But even consumers, we need to spread awareness on what kind, where they are buying from. There should be some transparency, uh, which would enable the consumers to trust channels that are directly buying from farms, and they can get a good quality produce as well. That's it from my side on the new trends that we are seeing in technologies in the fresh produce supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. I will take up the questions now. What role does AI play in monitoring crop quality during transportation and storage, sir?
Uh, so AI in general helps in understanding patterns. Okay. In storage, we are seeing sensors being deployed to identify if there is any rot happening, and then that can be linked to what the other environmental factors have been, and take a decision based on those insights. Right now, we are not seeing much adoption of AI across uh, storage, specifically because there's IoT that is being deployed. But logistics, yes. If we could, logistics is also helping us identify what are the best effective routes. So, for example, you have how can you increase the efficiency of your procurement strategies? Where can you procure from? Are there any weather patterns that are happening? What was the arrival somewhere? So procurement and logistics can be figured out using AI. In transport and storage, I wouldn't say that it's completely AI driven as of now. It's more of IoT driven. We are yet to see a layer of AI come into it. AI would probably increase the efficiency and the decision making time involved in it.
Okay. Are there sensor-based technologies integrated with AI that help detect spoilage in real time?
Yeah. So we ourselves work on such technologies where we build machines that detect aspects like shelf life, uh, spoilage, rotten damages, physical damages, uh, and marketability at the collection center itself. That is where we segregate the produce. That is where we identify uh, the quality of the produce and then we segregate it as per the market speed. Once you know what is a low shelf life produce, what is a high shelf life produce, what is a premium produce, and what is damaged and rotten, when you segregate it, it stops the rotten produce from damaging the healthier produce. So we stop certain part of the loss there itself at the collection point. And then the premium quality produce fetches a very good price in the market. And low shelf life produce also is because it is not being captured, it can be sold off immediately in nearby markets. But the premium quality produce can be stored for a while until you get a good price. So there are technologies like Agrogrades technologies which work on AI powered identification of quality and grading sort.
Okay. What advancement have been made in automating packing with AI and robotics?
Uh, So in packing, see, whenever uh, uh, as a consumer, we want our produce to be quality checked and packed. Now, grading, sorting, and packing are warehouse operations, and they're very operationally heavy or labor intensive. It typically takes 1 to 3 days just to pack an entire consignment of 25 tons. And that is why we need uh, technologies like robotics and smart automation to ensure that this happens within time with low damage to the produce, because these are very perishable and soft producers which can get damaged even through handling. So in very developed supply chains, these have been adopted. So for example, in European countries or US, we are seeing this for a while now. It's been decades they have been using complete automation for cleaning the produce, grading it, sorting it, weighing and packing it. But this happens at a scale. They would be doing more than 100 tons a day. Uh, but these are not made for Indian environments and for Indian users. The price points are also too high. These would start somewhere around say 300,000, $400,000, which is not suitable for Indian geographies, Indian users as well, because we do not have 100 tons of produce coming into there. And these technologies were designed for enterprises only. Now, with a lot of Indian startups coming into this space, we seeing now technology specifically made for Indian geographies, Indian conditions, and Indian users. We are de-enterprising technology. To give you a very simple example, for example, potatoes. In a lot of countries, potatoes are first washed, then graded and sorted. Now, these technologies are not suitable for something like an Indian potato, because in India we do not wash potatoes. It has to be unwashed. There is a lot of soil that comes out with potatoes. In onions, there is a lot of dust and everything coming along together. This can choke the existing machines, and they are not made for the Indian varieties. So we need Indianized versions of certain technologies. So now we are looking at a full stack. So you feed the produce from one end, it will identify the quality, it will grade it, sort it, and automatically weigh and pack it. Now this reduces the time from farm to the market or farm to the consumer. So where it was taking say 3 days, it can be brought down to 1 day, saving costs as well. The cost is a very huge factor. Typically, you would be spending around 1 rupee per kilo on this entire process at a warehouse. If even if it can be reduced to say 40 paise or 50 paise, this benefit is passed on to the consumer and also the entity operating the warehouse. So it is extremely important. Along with this, I would also add that there are certain innovations that we are seeing in packing technologies as well. And by packing technologies, you would extend the shelf life even more.
Okay. Sir, what are some real world examples where AI has helped in route optimization for perishable goods?
Now, I don't have much idea on the
Okay.
companies that are doing it.
Okay. How is AI being used to forecast demand and reduce overproduction or wastage, sir?
There are a lot of startups working on this, also corporates that use AI for identifying trends to plan their procurement cycles. It's been there, being done for a while now. It's just that there are now new companies coming together to offer such technologies and insights even to the farmers that can be used. But this has been happening for a while.
Okay. Can AI help farmers or FPOs in determining the best market or time to sell their produce?
Yeah, I believe there are apps that are already doing so, where there are even apps which are helping them identify the quality of the produce there at the farm gate. You click an image, they'll understand the quality, create a report, and then you can list your produce on these marketplaces as well. So you can directly send it to a customer. Though the adoption is quite low and it's still being piloted, but best time to sell the produce and nearby location is something that has been done.
Okay. What are some low-cost AI-based innovations that smallholder farmers can use for post-harvest?
See, one of the biggest things that I think there are something like a chat GPT is already existing. It's completely free of cost. There are other tools where farmers, I think AI is being used quite well in production techniques as well to identify which kind of disease it is, or which kind of fertilizer should be used or pesticide could be used. It's already happening. Uh, in post harvest, we are seeing price analytics is something that AI can be used. I'm not sure of which tools are existing right now for. There would be different tools and different apps depending on the crops and the geographies.
Okay. Sir, what are some of the major barriers to adopt AI in post-harvest handling in developing countries?
There's no major barrier as such. Uh, See, in post harvest, typically the requirements or the solution are infrastructure. This would be machines, this would be collection centers, anything that can be uh, done through information has already been done or is being done. What we right now need is to develop infrastructure in it. Now, I wouldn't say just AI, with infrastructure in general, that includes your storage facilities, that includes grading, sorting, packing facilities, that includes market linkages, uh, everything has to be there. So something that uh, earlier only an enterprise was able to do, now even FPOs and farmers should be able to do by themselves. So through an FPO or through rural collection centers and not just mandis.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We have now completed the round of questions on behalf of agricultureinformation.com. We like to thank Mr. Kshitij Thakur for the talk and for answering the questions. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
for
most
having me.
welcome. Most welcome.